note says very slow, it means very slow. This is elementary science K-5, the 23rd of September of 2014, 12:45 p.m.
Are we all on strand one?
Yes.
Second. A. We're on kindergarten. B. Over there. Let's compare different sounds. Now as I've gone with the word compare, because comparing is not what I like. I think compare and contrast. Compare and contrast is I support. When you compare things, we see how they're aligned. So I would love to add that.
I agree.
I concur. Then C is identify the ear as a receiver of vibrations that produce sound. So we're on strand 1, 2, energy as source. I'm sorry, energy as a source. Can be stored, it can be transferred, but is still conserved within a system.
It's C, there's a new concept.
C.
And you're starting with grade 5, correct?
B is not set, so we're looking at 5.
It kind of is in our forces of motion section, it's just not listed here.
Yes.
B is identified in our forces of motion section.
That's what I was asking.
The touchless energy. It's in our document.
It's
It's not-
further back.
Right.
It's just not under this strand.
Right.
So we're looking at 5th grade. C, and it's moving sequence water cycle and weather, so it tells you also where it touches later on again. Which is like we talked about doing it ourselves, so it's already there. Identify the sun as the primary source of energy for temperature change on Earth.
I think by 5th grade, they ought to be clear on that. I think that needs to be stronger. That's just my gut reaction.
You need to be okay.
Yeah, I mean, something.
Them doing something exactly the time.
Doesn't increase at all, does it? No. And I'm pretty sure by 5th grade, they realize the sun is what makes it hot.
So,
I think if you look back to the water cycle, it's going to be more describing how the sun affects pollution, storm, weather, that's all of that.
Yeah,
This
sorry.
one, which is electromagnetic energy from
Yeah.
the sun, so radiation is a major source of energy on Earth. I think that's good.
to me, this is talking about energy for temperature change would be that, the air currents and the, so as it heats and sinks and rises and moves, that kind of
But
energy.
that's not,
It's not described in here.
that's what I'm saying.
Right, so what I'm wondering, we probably should flip and look at what's the weather.
Go across the sea and read what this is supposed to actually address.
You mean the electromagnetic
Right.
energy?
It is talking about.
Well, I think we need to,
Well,
But then later on, we go back to weather, on the water side, weather and social, they will address those.
so what would you say that,
Maybe it's something more than just kind of identify
Right.
the sun, is a primary energy, show that.
or, you know, by 5th grade, they should kind of start to have a concept of radiant heat and.
that's why I'm thinking we should flip to strand 5 to
That's when
see
you look at
what's in
strand 5.
there. Yeah, before we decide how we
even
wanna
need
change
this?
this.
I mean, I'm fine with the limit, it doesn't look much better.
So you look at 5F, sorry, 5.2F. And that's what sort of helps identify the appropriate tools, and how to eliminate all that that goes along with what the sun does, with temperature, with, the sun. I mean, that's what temperature does, right? It creates the weather.
And that's where it starts to discuss, identify and summarize relationships between the weather data, sun data, temperature, and
So you have heat and versus right trace path of water through the water cycle.
Do you think it's too much to ask us, a fifth grader, to explain how energy from the sun I'm trying to figure out how to get it to where it drives, that energy, that temperature change and that energy drives our weather.
That is, that's what it does.
that's, yeah.
Where does it say that? Because this says it traces the path of water, which isn't driving weather. Identify the different forms water can take. Identify and use appropriate tools to collect weather data. Identify and summarize relationships between weather data collected over a period of time.
I think we also need to add in there something about,
It's identified, summarized relationship between weather, data, temperature, time of day, cloud cover, temperature, wind, direction.
To me, that's saying if the temperature goes up, then this is the result. It's not saying the sun is the driving force of weather on the planet.
Well, if you know that the sun, if you follow this, you know that the sun is the primary energy source for temperature, then you know that it's the primary source for change.
Okay, so you think that's not too big of a leap?
I don't think it's a big deal at all, because I think these two are going to be taught at the exact same time, just because they're far apart here.
Right.
This is going to be taught sometime after this. I mean, it's just really far apart.
This is what we're on an annotation to bring those ideas together and then.
And I'm not sure that the sun's energy driving the weather doesn't happen in middle school more directly
Okay.
through like catastrophic events, things like that.
So do we really even need strand 1C, fifth grade A? Do we even need that statement?
Is it redundant because it's addressed elsewhere?
No, it's not.
It's not redundant, it's not just, I mean, specifically, this is
Can
saying
we
that the
drill it
sun,
down and make it more?
and specifically, this is saying that the sun is the primary source of energy for temperature. That's giving them, this is where you get the energy for temperature change. And then this back here says what actually happens with that transfer of energy.
Can we do more than identify?
I think you do more when you look back at, and this is actually a version 3.
That's this one.
It is still FB. So identify and summarize the relation between weather data and temperature, which is what this leads you to is temperature. Wind direction, the temperature, but
You know what I think I want? I'm wondering if what I'm asking for is for them to somehow have to identify the importance of the change in temperature. Do you see what I mean?
Or what the result of.
Yeah, like why is it important that that the sun gives us energy for temperature change on Earth? Other than us standing outside and feeling how hot on our face, why is that important
that's
to?
where it says identify and summarize the relationship between weather data and temperature.
To me, that's just weather data, that's collecting the amount of rainfall, that's reflecting the wind speed, and relate, what am I relating that to? So identify and use appropriate tools to collect weather data.
That's, I'm talking about the,
Okay, between weather data collected over a period of time. So identify and summarize relationships between weather data collected over a period of time. So to me, that's more climate than it is the effect, than it is what the sun, the importance of that energy in the sun. And it's probably, if everyone else is good, I'm not good.
I'm going to add something to this, if you're here. Okay, the sixth grade, we have the sixth grade scope and sequence, and the very next year on strand 1-2C. For sixth grade, it says recognize and describe how energy from the sun is transferred to earth in a range of wavelengths and energy levels, including visible light, infrared radiation, and ultraviolet radiation. And then scope and sequence characteristics of living organisms recognize and apply the fact that energy from the sun is the source of almost all energy used to produce the food for living organisms. And then when you look at ecosystems and interactions on next generation, it's for fifth grade instead of sixth grade. It's for now for fifth grade. So I'm just saying that. That's her. You want this back to you? No.
I have it. Okay.
Well, just so you can see the difference in it, because it goes from identify to recognize and apply, right?
There's a big jump there.
That is a big jump. That's what I'm
It's
saying.
So the apply is the food web and food chain, that's not the weather energy. There's two different energies. Sun is used for food, light, and then heat energy is what the sun provides for the earth. So the food part comes, of course, through photosynthesis, and the light part, we know we get that part. The heat part isn't just to warm us so that it's warm enough on planet Earth to live. The heat part also drives the winds and drives the circulation. It drives the water currents, it drives the ocean, it drives the, what grade is that?
So is
Jim,
that
was that fifth or sixth?
not the same? That's.
No, that's this.
So what she read is comparable to this, not what we were reading earlier about the weather.
No, it's not weather, it is weather, but it's not, it's in between, wouldn't you say? It causes weather, I just don't see it in the weather where it's specifying that.
well, I say, if you
I don't
look at
think
it,
it's,
if you like to look at the sun,
which,
from the sun,
yes,
it shows what energy on Earth. And when you string out, it says, identify the sun as the primary source of energy for temperature change on Earth. This is identifying this isn't the big picture of the drawing,
okay,
but it does do exactly what it's supposed to do for C. Okay, so if you, I mean, it's completing that task. And if you look back to the first test, the third and first, it does build. Then we have the word identify. Identify, and then the third is identify the sun as the primary source of light and food energy for the earth. That's talking about, obviously, that's to go back to the, as far as our food chain. I don't know if I want to do it structurally, but but each one of them builds on the, that's what it's kind of odd to me is transformation, temperature change, that occurs in electrical circuits. That's why where it is.
Are we looking at strain 1C?
Well,
So it's not C, it's still in fourth grade.
I just look at those statements. So basically, you're saying all I have to do is ask the student, what's the primary source of energy?
yes,
And all they have to do is say the sun.
yes.
So that,
But
that's enough.
that's not the entirety of the, if you look further back,
That is not as deep as we get with that concept, that for this league, yes.
this league goes with this statement.
These go much
Go
deeper.
further back.
I think I find that confusing if I was a teacher. Okay, so I would know to look at this and look, come back here.
Well, remember that as a teacher, hopefully, this will be our document with you next, is to clump these together. So when you see this at the top,
Annotate one straight.
where it says water cycle and weather, you could go back here where it says water cycle and weather, and you would put all those together. So you don't teach it, you would not teach this by itself, you would teach it in.
But by the way this is structured, that's what.
Right, so we're saying that we don't like it that way, we're gonna change the structure out when we go through the content.
Yeah, okay.
Because it's driving me crazy, it drove me crazy all day yesterday,
I would
because I
also,
don't like having this.
I would like to recommend also that if possible, and I don't see why it wouldn't be very easy to do, that not only do we have scope and sequence which spans K through 5, but that we have a document specific to first grade, a document specific to second grade, a document specific, so that when you're a first grade teacher, you can download a document with just all of your information, with nobody else's information on it, so a new teacher especially, or anyone can have that for access in the classroom.
Purpose, I think purpose was to have them all together so that you can see what the first grade.
Yes.
You can
As
see
a
what
director,
kindergarten
you need
and what the secondary people are going to do. That's why I said it like this.
That's right, that's what I said, that's why we need a scope and sequence, and then we need a separate document, which is grade specific. Correct.
I just have a question, because it's grade span, then a district could still choose to put some of the expectations together in its university. Is that,
So if I'm hearing you correctly, you're saying that because it spans multiple grades, it would be difficult to create a document that is specific to first grade, because it's spanning multiple grades.
I'm saying that might be a consideration.
Right.
because some districts choose not to teach the first grade leads in first grade.
And because there's a bigger piece at the second grade.
Yes, yes.
Okay, then I'll reword what I said to include, I think we have multiple ways to access information. One being a scope and sequence K through 5, and another document more specific to a grade level teacher that would exclude those parts that are confusing and having to look at it in this manner. Instead it would feel like a K2 document or a kindergarten document, where that teacher could just pick it up and say, these are the things I'm responsible for.
We're gonna try to do what all said then.
Yes.
So,
We're not getting rid of this, I'm not saying get rid of scope and sequence, it's necessary part.
I think what I hear you saying is when you have that perfect role and it's in that technology document, that the teacher that's accessing that can sort it in any way they want to.
Right. Like next generation.
Because we actually still have districts that have cross grade levels that are combined, they teach first and second grade. That exists in Centerville. Yes. Williamsville, I mean, there's two that's driving. We're in the world. We're in the world of bills.
Well, the
We went to
Kansas schools,
Seussville.
many of the districts are the same. Well,
So are we happy with C?
Let's see. With the,
Concept C?
with the addition that we're going to add to it or bring it together into something else,
In a new
we're going to
format.
revisit it. I
We'll
think
put it together with leather.
because I can live with it then.
Okay.
Is that,
Well, the reason why it's here is because it's talking about matter and here.
That's what I mean, I don't
That's
feel
why
like we're
getting an understanding of the sun produce, I'm not sure that the kids are really getting it from this,
That it all interacts.
yes.
And here's the dilemma, they're not going to from this document. Because this isn't the way that it's taught.
It's the idea.
And this is
And I think any
organized by
elementary
content.
teacher, I think most people understand this principle. And I know that your elementary teachers understand this principle. And this is not a difficult one to explain to kids. It's not one the kids don't get.
No, I think they get it very well, but I think they can do more with it, which I think comes in that other document that we're going to create.
We have a new member for his wife, and so she's, we don't care, tell us who you are and kind of where you are and say what you do. And then we're gonna go around real fast and introduce yourselves. And then we need to add her to the bottom of the list to slide on, but I'll have her put her information up on that whiteboard. Okay, so go ahead.
I'm Kelly Neighbors Holman. I am a parent appointed by Tim Jones. I have a 5-year-old and a 6-year-old, with kindergarten and first grade. And I am here as the process.
Welcome. Where are you
Yes,
from?
you're from. I'm from Lincoln County, which is about 50 miles northwest of St. My daughter Lily attended high school, and now the person that both enrolled in public school. What grade? Kindergarten, first grade. Last night, they both were. Just tell your name and maybe the city you're from, where you're from, and then, what you do.
I'm Elizabeth Chadbourne. I'm from Piedmont, Missouri, and that's in the southeast portion. And I am currently the kindergarten through 4th grade instructional coach and RTI facilitator at our building.
Beverly Peters, I'm here as a parent. I'm a chiropractor and law-based science background.
My name is Chris Reese. I teach in the 4th floor school district. I'm a science coach for our district. Sorry.
I'm Stan Seiler, I'm the superintendent at Advance School, which is also in the southeast Missouri area, about 30 miles west of Detroit.
I'm Susan Lodger. I live in Macon. I work for the University of Missouri and I do professional development training for teachers throughout the city. I'm Ann Wallenmeyer and I am from Springfield, Missouri. And I work in K-12 science.
I'm Susie Williams, I'm from West Plains, I'm the assistant superintendent.
No, very notice. I teach in the 3rd grade webinar.
Amy Chamberlain. I am from Lawn, Missouri.
I'm Bonnie Tabor, I'm from Springfield, I teach at 3rd, and I'm facilitating, but really we're facilitating themselves.
I'm Dr. Jan Van Gelder. I'm from Lamar, Missouri, and I am a retired educator and work at a professional development center.
And I'm Stephanie Dassel. I am a trained science teacher in recovery.
And then could you guys explain what you're doing right now? You're, and then we need to move purpose, so I don't know when to come with the, let's just switch.
All right, here to explain. Bye now.
Maybe if Jamie can kind of show her as you're explaining, it'll catch her up.
Basically, what we're doing is we're taking the document we already have, and we're moving around, we're enriching, we're comparing it to other standards. We're trying to see if we can strengthen the standards we have and strengthen the verbiage so that people who are coming in, if reading the document and understanding it better. Really all the document you have is fairly telling, it's fairly complete. And that's what we're working with this document. And improving that.
free to jump in.
This is not a shy group.
Okay.
They're not a shy group.
And they all have it.
So, and that served us very well. That served us well.
Because looking at the fifth grade, identifying the sun as the primary source of energy for temperature change on Earth. And if we look at the nickel, I think it does that task. Now, I know what you're saying, I heard it, it does not do everything that you want people to do with the sun. And I get that, but I do know that it's covered in the weather part.
Okay.
I
As long as it's there, and we're not.
I would understand, it, and I think you probably understand that when a teacher, a fifth grade teacher starts putting her lessons together, his lessons together, they're not gonna pull this out and do it separately.
Yes,
They're gonna go through and gonna say, okay,
I just,
you know, this and this, these are the things we got covered, and they're gonna formulate their lesson. But it does give them the autonomy, the district autonomy to.
which I
to
like,
be
I'll leave
able-
it more. Now, I just have one more thing, I probably shouldn't say this. Anywhere in here do we, because, you know, when you look at the next, where it starts talking about, this is gonna be a big issue, climate change. You know what I'm saying?
I think it's that one in,
Or did we address at all, that whether we, whatever our belief is on that, that we have a relationship with, is that an ecology somewhere, that what we do here can impact?
that's strand A.
Yeah.
But this talks
I mean, I don't wanna wade off in a big deal, and I, you know, I'm not a pusher one way or the other on that subject. I'm just saying, is that something that is addressed?
It is, it's
It
a,
is.
even activity, this kind of stuff on it.
Renewable resource.
It's there. We would just need to add.
And I mean, not necessarily as, you know, there's theories where it's, as a topic for discussion either way.
because it has identified summarized relationships between weather data collected over a period of time. So that's looking at weather data that's been collected and how that's changed or remained the
I'm
same.
not necessarily one camp or the other, I mean, it's something that they definitely are going to be exposed to and hear about, and they should have a fundamental understanding of both sides of that concept, what that means.
And enough information to form an educated
That's the problem. People walk on that.
Which is what we discussed yesterday.
If you feel it's not, I personally feel that obviously we haven't changed the weather, or obviously no, it's not, it's a living matter. And I think unfortunately there's not, science is still,
Science is a work in progress,
so
it always
that's,
is.
that's one.
That's what I mean, is something that should be introduced as a topic.
Right.
And it's,
Yeah.
because I definitely think whatever your thoughts are on it, kids need to understand that it's a topic of relevance.
There's just some way down there with that exact topic. So we have for people to believe that we are affecting the weather at some point. That's what this.
Don't feel that.
Affecting the weather. So, I don't like to say, I don't think there is any definite scientific fact. We have everything.
But I also
Not
think,
getting even started, and I realize there's a strong feeling as a person about that exact issue,
yes,
but.
but that's what I'm saying,
Rather than just saying,
it needs to be introduced as an idea, because they're gonna hear about it.
Which brings us back to they need to be critical thinkers so that they can form an educated opinion. It just
Which
kind of is
also-
full circle.
We throw around
Yes.
weather and climate back and forth, and those are two different.
Different
Thank
things.
you.
So-
Yes.
We've done it sitting here, so.
Yes, I remember teaching that separately.
I've written down climate change kind of as a note, so
Okay.
I'll kind of be looking for that one coming up, that's okay.
Wonderful.
Making sure that we, when that does come up, we focus on it.
Well, and is it climate change or weather change?
Well, I've heard climate change more than I have weather.
Right, but I'm not sure that everyone understands that there's a difference.
Yeah, I'll write that to them.
Yeah.
Sorry,
And that may be something that unfortunately needs to be added to our definitions.
We can't assume anything.
Not at the elementary level.
No.
Where we at?
Yes, we're at the fourth grade A, we're gonna go across to the grade, we're
Can
gonna drop down.
can we not drop and
You want to
go
stay
with
on?
the dark? Yeah, is that okay? Because I don't want to track.
I think it goes back to identify the sun, primary source of light and food, and you go back to C first.
But I think it is identified, it's low level, I mean,
It's not a,
the sun does it, I mean, what else are you gonna do with that?
So shouldn't that be in third grade?
You need to leave it at the same level that
Yes.
you're teaching weather. So if
Yes.
you're teaching weather at these grade levels, then we
And
need to
that's
leave
what
it
it
there.
is, yeah.
So
And just
unless
because
we're
it-
going to change the weather thing, then I think we should leave it where it is. Because you can't teach it in a, I mean, so this is something that you're gonna teach with, what?
Are you talking about fifth grade with all of them? They're spiraled in that this is gonna talk about future.
So like if you look at strand 5, which is the earth systems, and just make sure that it's in there, first grade is talking about water and weather. And then third grade talks about states of matter, so let's see what really that says though.
Well, third grade should be in stream 4, not stream 5, right?
there's a step by the,
So it should be the same.
Identify the sun as the primary source of light, food, energy on Earth. Where are you at? Chris, can you clarify what you're?
Yeah, strand 5 is earth systems, which weather should fall under earth systems.
Right, so you're talking about the fifth grade lead about weather?
Yep.
Yeah, and then, okay, I thought you switched to the third grade lead. Okay,
That's where I was.
okay, so third grade is where we're at. My question was,
Third graders.
But you look back at strand 4, when you back to third grade, it fits strand 4, that change the ecosystem as a organism. Because it's all about it, it's like sunlight, primary source, use their own food, classifies the population of the organism, consumers, equals flow of energy through food chain, and the possible effects of removing the organism from the food chain. That explains basically the start. That's where the energy comes from. Please.
It's in there in third grade under strand 5, DOKC, where it says investigating states of matter.
Is that what you just said?
It's on strand 5, DOKC, where it says investigating states of matter. Identify the liquid can be changed into a gas, vapor in the air. Identify the clouds are composed of tiny droplets. You would teach it with that. Identify air as a substance that surrounds us. You would teach the sun with that. That's what I would teach it with, wouldn't you?
Well, they're putting back the food chain, and that's what they tie it to, but I mean, obviously, it's not here, it gives energy for both, it gives energy for weather, and it gives energy, obviously, for food sources.
Right.
And this is where it's kind of, it ties it in back here, back to this, but back here, it ties it in.
It also ties in with strand 5 to E, where it says describe clouds and precipitations as forms of water. Because you can't talk about evaporation, you can't talk about the water cycle without talking about the sun.
I think my question is broader than that. But what I was referring to was, I understand what you're saying, that we gotta keep it in third grade, because we've got stream 4, stream 5 is in third grade.
Right.
But my question is broader than that, in the sense of, if they're, let's say, in secondary, they're pushing everything down, it used to be taught in 8th, but in 9th grade, it's gonna be taught in 8th grade, it's taught in 8th grade, it's gonna be what is currently there, we need to be thinking about, is this the appropriate grade level for this? I understand what you're saying, but why strand 1C is to say third grade, because strand 5A is a third grade, and those things go together. But I'm saying, should all of that be shifted down? Right. Is that more appropriate? Are we thinking about that, or are we just looking at where it is?
I don't think you really, and there's a lot of systems involved in this business, right? A lot of different systems involved that you probably, I don't think you can push that down to second grade. I don't think you can push it down to second grade. Because then you also have a gap between second and fifth for a C. Also, that's another thing you don't really do that either. If you shut it down to second grade, then it would be C, third, fourth.
And I'm not advocating for it, I don't know the first thing about this, you guys do, I'm just saying, there's that push that things are being taught at an early grade.
So
I'm not
here's our,
saying right or wrong, I'm just saying, are we keeping that in the back of our mind, are we really looking at, you know what, I think the second graders should be able to do that, or are we simply looking at where it is? I'm just throwing that out there, I'm not advocating one or the other.
so this was the online evaluation. We are looking at the middle column of NGSS right now. So we are going through to see if these are accurate, if they're worded the way we want it to be worded, and if they're as complex verbiage as what we want it to be. Yesterday, we went over what I would call the cross-cutting concepts, like we went over the blue sheet that had the 4 goals, and we said, yay, that we like it. Then I think we still need to look at the engineering practices stream 7 and stream 8, which is gonna help us know what we wanna do in this column. So we're not up here yet in putting it together
To
to
see if it's appropriate.
exactly, we're not there yet. That's gonna be after we do the independent little pieces, and then we're gonna look at how we want it to be.
So we'll go back and look at this and say, this
Exactly.
really a second grader could do, or absolutely
Right,
no,
so we
no
would
way.
shift everything in that stream to second grade,
If that's what
if that's what we decide to do.
that's.
So then I totally did not get what you just asked. Did you get it clarified, or do you need to think about it?
No, I think it's appropriate where it is.
Because fifth grade, so you were clarifying that you think it's right where it needs to be. Okay, I
Correlates with
agree.
the other streams.
I agree with it. Okay. So we're good with fifth grade.
So then, are we good with third
I'm right first.
and first?
I'm right with first.
So those 3 stay the same?
I am right.
I think it's
Same.
I'm good. I'm trying to follow your conversation and make the connection to NGSS and make the connection to Massachusetts.
Oh, good, so I don't have to do that anymore?
So I'm doing it on my computer, just here.
I was looking at California.
You're-
Good.
so, and that's kind of why I'm just kind of taking it all in here. What I'm hearing is that for us, really, the content can be basically assigned at a grade level where we see fit. It's the rigor that, it's the rigor that we're really gonna take a look at later. And that's where that rigor divide or question comes in, I think, is in our further conversation, where is the rigor dealing with that particular content? Because the content really can be adjusted, because it's a grade span test, a lot of different places. It's the rigor part that we're going to be wrestling with. And I think that's been probably our discussion all the whole time. So I think we're right down the center. From what I'm seeing, your discussion here is really centered very, very well, compared to other places we're looking. Do you see that, Jamie? Am I seeing it right?
Yeah, I mean, I read what they had, it went a little bit more in depth in my opinion, so, but that's something to come later.
Yeah, I think we're going to address it.
So then are we all in agreement that C is okay, and we're moving on to F?
Thumbs up.
Yeah,
This
that's
just
what I
has to
mean,
do with energy transfer.
but I think there can be more discussion about energy transfer, conservation of energy in other places.
There is more on top.
That's
of
exactly,
energy
but do we
conservation,
use that term?
But not using electrical circuits.
But do we use the term in the other places, law of conservation of energy? I think that's something.
It's not,
Energy transfer and closed series circuit, use that term. That's what we did.
What I'm saying is somewhere else in other strands, are we addressing the law of conservation of
at
energy?
fourth grade or at other grades.
In other grades?
Yes.
Yes.
It's
not
not
all
called,
circuits.
it's not called the law of conservation.
Living organisms.
Living organisms.
It's not called the law of conservation of energy because that terminology is not necessarily splattered all over the elementary leaves. But the concept that energy is not created nor destroyed, but it changes form is in different avenues. I would say this.
Do you want us to find where it's at?
Well, and I remember seeing, we've addressed it other places, but
1-2A,
that's
the
what,
sheet 1-2A has a whole bunch of it on there.
That's what we just did.
Yeah.
that's what I mean.
Yeah.
If we're gonna try to align, use uniform terms, this is something we can go back to later. Introducing the concept of conservation of energy rather than just saying, it's one thing to teach them that it changes form, like you said, like you can have 3 little blocks and 1 big block and it's all the same. But that term conservation.
And that comes, I believe, at middle school.
Yes.
That terminology, they get at middle school.
So what's happening is we're introducing it in fourth grade to prepare them for
So they
6, 12.
understand, right.
Okay.
Right.
So I'm wondering about, we had on the 1-2A B, fourth grade B, provide evidence. Do we want to provide evidence of energy transformations?
I'm sorry, would you repeat that? I didn't catch that. I
When
apologize.
we looked at that page this morning at 1-2, capital A, fourth grade, little b,
Okay.
we changed observe and describe to provide evidence of energy transfer. I'm wondering on this one that's 1-2F, fourth grade, little a, provide evidence of energy transformations that occur in electrical circuits.
Instead of.
Right.
Gotcha.
So provide evidence seems to be one of the buzz things that we want kids to be able to do.
Which is
when we
raising
talk
it
about
beyond the
this.
identified.
Right.
Gary, are you in agreement with that?
So on A, we're changing identify to provide evidence.
And as a middle school teacher, I say thank you.
You're welcome.
Because this one, I mean, just as a point of clarity, this one is hard. Kids come with misconceptions all the time because it's our job to do both conservation of mass and conservation of matter and conservation of energy. And they always come to us, I mean, even it doesn't matter what spectrum, that it's lost, that it's lost, that it's lost. So the more you can do past identify would be awesome.
Right.
So are we good on F then?
I think we changed.
So we're gonna change the word identify to provide evidence on application.
What might that look like, as a point of clarity, what might that look like in a classroom?
I could see them drawing a diagram where they would have to show the energy and label the energy transformations. Or I could see them having to build a circuit and identify, so like they've got a battery in the circuit, they hook it up and it provides light. They've got a buzzer in the circuit, they push the button, it provides sound. They've got, is that,
They're already doing the survey.
right, would that be enough, you think?
I was, as a point of clarity for teachers, with
Yes.
a,
So should we put, in parentheses, i.e. light, sound,
That's right there.
it's already there. Light, sound, motion, and magnetic effects, so yeah, that would be where they would be, okay. So we're good, okay, perfect.
We're going straight to principle of force and motion.
Hold on a second. Could we change that word instead of provide maybe to, yeah, or interpret or show, I mean, just something that you would know.
So you have to do is provide evidence.
What about formulate?
Yeah, what do you want the kid to do?
Well, we're having them back here design, construct, and diagram, and then they're
Right.
providing, well, okay, never mind, just leave it this way, leave it provided.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Does that
Sure,
work
having
with your
it
picture?
do it right here.
This is similar verbiage that we changed, we didn't change
Right.
it from that before.
We got rid of identify. We already said.
Provide evidence, guys, is a very, very high level deal. That's
Proof.
pretty solid.
So
Right.
that's a little something more.
That's a pretty solid form.
Report,
Yeah.
That's a proof.
Right. Right.
report, then how it's addressed.
Yeah.
It's report.
That's-
So are you good with that, Chris?
Yeah, that's fine.
Right now, so we're on properties and principles of force and motion.
Yes.
One, motion of an object is described by its change in position relative to another object or point. First round, A is the first. So, what do we call it?
Big ideas up here and then concept.
Right, concept is the, sorry.
Yep, and
Our
then,
part of the big-
yeah. The strand is this one, yeah, and then big ideas.
May I ask you as a point third, back on that, because I'm picking that course. But when you look at grade 4 and you look at the grade level expectation, and you look over at the concept, by changing, provide evidence, have we addressed what the concept wanted them to do?
Because at this point, it doesn't look like A matches F. Like they're just identifying evidence of energy transformations. I know completely what you get, I see what you get when you say draw the diagram, but how is that showing conservation?
ID, law, conservation.
That's what I mean, I still don't think we've addressed conservation.
I'm not sure what provide the evidence, if we're deep enough there on what that evidence
That's
is.
what I was just.
Is that's where I've got a question.
Stan said give examples of.
Do an EG.
That,
You mean now where it has the purposes already? So EG.
EG and maybe give some guidance on what those examples or those evidence sources would be. Again, looking at it from the assessment portion of this.
Really, you want them to list the transformations that occur. And if you look at F, energy can be transferred within a system as the total amount of energy remains constant. So what you really want them to do are to look at, I don't know how you're gonna tell if the energy is constant to the circuit.
That's what I mean, should we address it in another grade level, in another way?
Well, how would you, no, because how would you tell if it's constant, how do you tell if the circuit's, how do you tell if the amount of energy in the circuit is constant?
Does F, does F,
Yeah, that's what I think. Right, that's
but
why
that's
that
not our
wasn't.
problem. Because what we're dealing, I mean, the question out here is the alignment between A, you see what I'm saying?
We're still not.
That's why I was.
No, we're not.
No, it's being
But,
left
you know,
off.
she says that's done later, but she also says from experience, and I believe her, that they're confused.
So what would you have a kid do, what would a kid do if they understood the law of conservation of energy? What would it look like if a kid knew the law of conservation of energy?
Okay, I'm gonna have to ask, when we look up the definition of law of conservation of energy, maybe if we look at the actual definition, it'll help us on the,
Energy is neither lost nor created.
that's all it is.
Energy
So I understand.
That's all, I understand what you understand this.
Energy transformations, but like in 8th grade, we quantify it, and I know 4th graders aren't gonna quantify, but I don't know qualitatively what they're.
Next generation has lot on this for fourth grade. A
Let's
lot.
look.
Oh, yes. It's on, fourth, yes, green energy, and then there's an entire page, 31.
The total energy of an isolated system cannot change. It is said to be conserved over time. Energy can be neither created nor destroyed, but can change form. For instance, chemical energy can be converted to kinetic energy in the explosion of a stick of dynamite. So for the law of conservation of mass, we have kids look at the concept that we start with salt water, you evaporate out the water, and you get the salt there, so you've got to figure out how much with the water mass, how much the salt mass, so together you're not losing anything, that all of that mass is being accounted for. We freeze it, we thaw it, the mass is accounted for, so no matter what happens in that change, it's accounted for. So in energy, at a fourth grade level, what would you have them do to help them see? Like in chemistry, we dissolve things together and mass it again, and we see that it's the same. Now that's still mass. I don't know, we don't even do it in high school chemistry. Like you could
Well, there's
explode
these
something,
examples
but you
here.
can't.
So one of the examples it says on, if we just look at the very top, it says ask questions and predict outcomes about the changes in energy that occur when objects collide. Or, I mean, we say something to that nature.
And one clarification that I think is needed is the law of conservation needs to be defined somewhere, because that can be easily interpreted by the common person as conserving energy.
Well, when I'm looking, like, when I look at,
And it's not the concept that they're teaching.
when I'm looking at what's on our document, I still come back to what I've been saying from the very beginning. I look at some of these things and I'm like, okay, so one thing. I come over here to page 31 and 103, and those things make sense to me.
Which ones?
Well, all of them make more sense than what I'm reading here. I'm looking at that going, well, what does that mean? What does that mean?
So which
What
one?
does that look like? But I'm looking at this, I haven't directly connected them, I'm just looking at overall, when I read this, the faster a given object is moving, the more energy it possesses. That means something to me more than just identify something. I do think we need to increase the number of this language right here, and I do think these are some of this language is good in the next generation.
I do too.
I mean, like, energy is present whenever there are moving objects. That means something.
That's what I'm saying. I think if we only address this issue in circuits, they're gonna get to eighth grade and they're still not.
Address and force emotion. Like it's addressed more than once throughout this whole thing, so it's not just in electrical circuits. They talk about it, I think they talk about it in, balanced forces.
Is there any language anywhere else in the current document that talks about the conservation of energy versus the transfer of energy? Is there any language like that?
I would have to find it, but I'll do it.
Because that's where the difference will come in that Elizabeth mentioned, that people consider thinking about conservation, are gonna know that if we speak both of conservation of energy and the transfer of energy when it collides into another object. I just don't remember reading any of those. It goes into your kinetic energy, and then 6 through 8 span on the buildings. They talk about kinetic energy, right? 6 through 8, yes. Which is, would be the extension of transfer of energy after conservation, which we're talking about. All of a sudden, now we're going to talk about kinetic energy. Yeah.
So we talked balanced forces, is that what you're talking about? So there's one in fourth grade about balanced forces
Okay, first.
and unbalanced forces. Strand 2, big idea 2, concept D.
Okay, thank you.
It's not using scientific terms.
Are we using transfer of energy instead of lumping in
We didn't, it said forces.
forces?
That would be scientific. I mean, that's.
Right, but if you look at that, does health document have any language specific to transfer of energy? Because the next generation is very specific to that conservation and transfer of energy. 31, 1. This topic, I'm going to get this topic. I don't think that we need to, your upper language on this. Just not on this. This language, that's me. It seems, it's not that scientific terminology. It's like all the way through school, but you want to tell me about your business.
Did I?
And one of the things that I asked was like, all that line in the classroom, and I don't know that if you're aligned to looking at it, but it's a conversation, you can say, now this investigation, you will build on Galileo, Suspiria, by Roman Marbles down to that. It would be huge, where they only ever calculate for students for scientific, one belongs to the physics sequence, that's an application. I think I do conservation transfer. I don't know if that helps or. Any kind of energy. And this is just like the over big idea. I didn't go into it and break it down.
Right.
Right, we put the next generation in together because that really is true. And that's, I'm not trying to borrow from this and I just think like we were talking lunch today, my son said, we just want to make sure, and I'm referring to my child who's 20 years old, he's pretty global, that no matter where your child goes to school, if it goes to 100 kids or 1,000 kids, they should have the same opportunity. And so I think if we have the correct terminology used across the state, with the amount of rigor necessary for a child who's from a very small district to be successful in one quality also, or in high school. That's
Okay, so this is. Energy can also be transferred from place to place by electric currents, which can then be used locally to produce motion, sound, heat, or light. The currents may have been produced to begin with by transforming the energy of motion into electrical energy. So that's what is listed under conservation of energy and energy transfer. So when you look at ours, it says energy transformations, identify the evidence of energy transformations, temperature change, light, sound, motion, and magnetic effects that occur in electrical circuits.
right. But we do include any. Not to motion,
So motion. It said temperature change, light, sound, motion, and magnetic effects.
I think this explains it more than just maybe to an educated science person.
No, to an educated person, this is explained.
Should we just use this, or? Yeah,
And it's just more, it's more specific.
and it's not asking, there's no verbiage there. So do we want students to identify energy can also be transferred from place to place by electric currents? Do we want them to explain? Do we want them to?
I feel like that this document is trying to combine the identify, the explain, the demonstrate is really what in this document is the topic.
Well,
And this is just addressing the content, and we're trying to address the content and that in one little
Because
tiny paragraph.
these are core ideas of our standards. So these are just facts, these are concepts.
Right, they're requirements, that's correct.
And these are standards, so we're asking kids to do
So
something
we're
with
combining
this.
these two things.
I wouldn't say it's as sophisticated as that, but yeah.
That's
We're
where I
asking
said,
them to do something with that.
and that was my concern this morning, is that we aren't as sophisticated as this. And this document is really supposed to be the same, meaning, I don't mean the same, but parallel to both of these components of this document. We're not anywhere near the sophistication of that.
So our goal is to go through these and
So then do we need
do
to
a better
worry?
job at this, and then go back and fix this part.
Right, so maybe we don't need to be worrying about those verbs and those actions or processes at this point, if we're only looking at content. Or we are
I think
looking
we
at
can
both.
a little, I think we can
I
a
just
little.
wanted to
So what do we want to put in front of this as our verbs?
somewhere.
Energy can also be transferred from place to place by electric currents, which can then be used locally to produce motion, sound, heat, or light. And I don't know that we need to keep the currents may have been produced to begin with by transforming the energy of motion into electrical energy. Do we need that permanent?
Could you say, like they say, use evidence to construct an explanation of an energy transformation? Could you say, use evidence to construct an explanation of an energy transformation? Yeah, rather than just provide, because then you are constructing an explanation with evidence to show that you know a different energy transformation.
So what evidence, yeah,
Okay, that's right.
Can be transferred like they do in GSS from one object to another. And then for example of the figure Y is center.
Right.
I thought the start was very much about the conservation.
Both are, and both are. I mean, both are in part of,
Conservation.
I think, looking, because they're being pulled off and to where. I was wondering where we would pull off. Chris, how do you phrase that?
Use evidence to construct an explanation to provide evidence of an energy transformation. Do we write down?
say
Or-
that, there's too many evidences.
Yeah.
But Tom.
Okay, so
what
use
is
evidence
the
to
other
construct
one?
an explanation of an energy transfer.
Or are we asking them to give examples of energy transformations within an electrical circuit?
That's fine too.
I don't know, but is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's fine.
Why are we, just tell me because I'm uncertain, why are we only including electrical currents here? That was the question. That's what I'm asking. I feel like we're limiting ourselves and our students. I think it's important to make that as an addendum to that. I do feel like the current and transfer energy in a circuit is important for students to know at a very young age to figure that out. But I just,
Because this is in the scope and sequence of electrical circuits.
okay.
That's why I was saying within electrical circuits.
But the truth is, it's under energy and not conservation of energy.
Right, but what I'm saying is, this right here says that there's this whole thread throughout this entire document around electrical circuits. So if we go back to that chart,
Since you're under this, why would we just add another area to include all all elements of conservation and transfer. There's just no conservation and transfer, that's all I'm saying,
Of what?
of other sources, that's other than what's,
Anywhere in here?
no one asking.
Oh, you're asking me if there's other mentions
Because I look through and I don't see it.
transfer, of energy transfer.
Energy transfer, conservation of energy, other than the ridiculous, like, before we get to 6 through 8, we have connections. I don't think this is.
And I'm wondering if the reason there isn't is because energy is not viewable. And they can view more in an electrical circuit, which is concrete. And so they can see the transformations in a concrete electrical circuit to get them started on the raw conservation of energy. Then at middle school, it would be picked up again because they are more cognitively able to handle that abstract concept of energy versus math.
I agree that's probably the original intent, all I'm saying is that other documents have been included in elementary encompassing, we can move on from this.
Sorry, I had to go on.
No, it's a great discussion.
Great, it's a
No,
very
but I'm
important-
liking what Chris is saying. I think
Yes.
we've got to capture that in an understandable
Yeah,
format, because I think it's more about giving examples or
Yes.
explaining examples or explaining the transfer of energy. It's some, we've almost got it, we just got to tweak it out. Yeah.
Do we want to come back to
Right.
let's, can we?
Make it up.
Let's
Okay.
sleep on.
What, do you have down what you said though, Chris?
I'm gonna write it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Please.
So
Because
I
it is
have
a start.
use evidence to construct an explanation of an energy transformation.
And they could use the electric circuit to do that.
Well, I think after what I listened to Ian say, that she says that there is a whole strand under electricity, so we actually have to create another, which would fit somewhere.
No, this would just be stuff under
And
electricity.
then Jamie, would you give me the words that you used to, you said give examples.
Because I think the only ever introduces an electric service, they're gonna get that, but they're not gonna get the energy transfer.
Right, but I'm afraid that cognitively, they're not ready to do that till middle school. I'm thinking that the reason it's not here is because it's too abstract.
And like we were saying, it's concrete and they
This
can
electrical
visualize
circuits
it
are
and then
concrete.
build upon it.
So then they would pick it up again in middle school to go on with that.
Basically, just as like quick examples of how he transfers
Right.
from one sound source to another.
Yeah, I disagree with the rate is too high, but I don't care to, I'm taking on this.
So that is, everything set rate.
That's it.
That language is
So maybe we should just hold off until we see what secondary has.
Okay. So I also think we're at a point that it's 2:00, we have an hour left and we haven't appointed somebody yet. You know, I think we need to do that before we get to the time. that we have to go.
Okay, so that's a liaison and a co-liaison. Let me read you what I know about it from the information that the legislature was. 2 people will be elected from among you guys. The duties will include, first, create monthly reports to the legislators and the State Board of Education using official notes from the note taker/recorder. They will attend House Bill 1490 mandated public hearing meetings as necessary to report on the work group's progress. They will attend State Board of Education and other legislative meetings as necessary to report the work group's progress. I have down that we need 2. One is a liaison, one is a co-liaison, is the titles. And then at this point, they think public meetings will be in 30 days, then another 60, and then 60 days and 90 days is what they told me. So what was your,
in the law, it says 30 days
we probably can't do it.
Right. Okay, I'm gonna read the requirements one more time, I've been asked to. Create monthly reports for the legislators and State Board of Education using the official notes from the note taker / reporter. Attend House Bill 1490 mandated public hearing meetings as necessary to report on the work group's progress. Attend State Board of Education and legislative meetings as necessary to report the work group's progress. So you would be going to public meetings and you would be reporting to the State Board of Education and the legislature.
How often is that?
Well, I know the first meeting is 30 days from now, so within 30 days.
Just one of those components is 30 days, or
They're all, your duties are all 3 of those.
so it could be 3 separate meetings in 30 days.
But they may not
That's
all
not my understanding.
be in person necessarily.
And another thing I'm not sure, it was what I first saw, the hope daily liaison could be there or the liaison, I'm not certain, I don't think the hope has to be there, but I did not.
Just so you have 2 people that could versus one.
Does it say 2 people report though? I know
Or
it
is
says
it
we
just
elect, you guys elect.
I would hate to send one person.
You always need now, unless they're thinking people can't get this on the calendar. But okay, why don't you,
Can I make a nomination?
you can, or you want me to call and get clarification on,
Perhaps how often, how many.
And if one or both,
like,
either
that will
or,
show up.
and, is it either or and both?
They told me the public meetings would be in 30 days, and the next one, then 60 days out, and 90 days
And
out.
where would they be?
I'm assuming that they're just saying, but let me see if I can get a hold of somebody that knows more than I know.
Alex, if we kept your contact information to add
I
to our
will tell
sheet.
you,
While we cut down time, you might want to write it, not trying to be bossy, just
so we can text you or email you.
so we can aggravate you with the middle
Right.
of the eyes. Oh, there is a marker. It's just,
I hope it comes up.
figured out how much more to do it if not.
What's that?
Warrensburg's not that
Thank you.
I think we do in the electric, but I don't.
Let's check.
Do we want to do stuff now, or we want to do stuff again?
I totally did.
You can find it like this.
it's not where it
Yes.
is.
Alex, could they be conference calls or has it had they considered? I don't know what actually happens. Maybe it's a kind of level there where you're going to.
People are getting sick last year.
Right, and I understand that.
Also, for clarification purposes, when you try to find out if both liaisons and co-liaisons are just one report, or is it just one report? I thought it was just one report.
That either person could show up on either or and. Your question, Sally, is either or and. We need to have a clarification.
And both, separate.
Is it second grade?
Yes. What else? Those two dates, and how long?
Right, it's the dates are available, so.
And are the dates set? Or have the dates been set?
Only for these, for the
Public
meetings.
That's not.
Nobody had, they had their thing for the first one,
You
had
get
their thing
fees.
yesterday. So sometime between, yesterday and October.
And are these insurance or electrical circuits, they use electrical circuits transfer. And so that's the reason they use electrical. So it is on, let's see, forms of energy is here. They get forms of energy in sixth grade, and they get forms of energy. There's energy transformations at seventh grade. Electrical circuits are not important. The reason we use electrical circuits are not so they never these years. It's more, yeah, it's more than what they are tested out. Electrical circuits are not important. It's what they're on. It's really not.
Yes, I am. I can tell.
Can we go ahead and want to strand you?
Excuse myself in return, but I don't think I started.
They have raised electrical
Are you starting to?
There are 50 minutes left. If we could spend the next 50 minutes finishing some work on maybe strand 2, that would be awesome. We're gonna have
Did we figure out who our representatives?
No.
There got to be some points of clarification.
Oh, she's like,
And I don't think we are.
okay, where are we?
Strand two, property, principles, force, and motion. The motion of an object is described by its change in position relative to another object, point. And A, the motion of an object is described as a change in position, direction, speed related to another object or frame of reference. Everybody else has a path in that. Fourth period, the first one is classify different types of motion. That's a straight line, curve, vibrating back and forth. Describe object's motion in terms of distance and time.
And measure to that.
It would be very easy to add that, that's what we used to. This was one that got pushed down out of third grade, and I used to do work up my whole. But yeah, I think measurement is extremely important. So where it says describe object's motion in terms of distance and time.
Where we,
Right. The old school.
Well, do you think it's more appropriate in third grade? You're a third grade teacher.
Excuse me?
Do you think it's more appropriate with your math and other subjects in third grade? You're a third grade teacher, if you say, I think this should be third grade, I'm gonna respect that.
I used to teach this, and we did a fantastic job. Third graders were able to comprehend it and second grade very well.
Because I see that it's not addressed at all from first until fourth.
Should be in in different areas,
Yes.
second grade, if you look back through, probably, but the second grade is, got all. The majority just got pushed to second grade,
Oh, I see.
so. You gotta take it from third grade, when they did this set of standards, it was removed from third grade and pushed to second grade. I don't know what the rationale was for it, I don't know if anyone else does.
Well,
I hate losing it, but it was pushed.
I think it got down to the sheer number
I think that's
that we were
probably-
facing in third grade.
I don't know if it's necessary, I assume it was part of the number of trying to equal them out. They thought the second grade could do, they
Can we
probably
add-
told the principal,
can we add measure? They're in fourth grade, can we make all?
no, absolutely, I think it's extremely important, that's part of how you determine.
Beverly, was that, were you gonna add that in grade 4, A or B?
I would think it would be,
B.
Describe and measure, right? Is that how you would work?
that's all I got.
So you want measure and describe?
Sure.
And where.
Don't you think on, an object's motion in terms of distance and time, both of those things can be measured?
I just wording that you want the word.
Oh, it doesn't matter.
I think
Measure,
combine
describe, measure, just measure, we can drop describe.
Well, those are two different concepts.
that's
I
true.
understand.
And so describe and measure, I think it adds a level of rigor.
All right, I like it.
You just-
Describe and measure, or measure and describe?
We have no preference.
Okay,
I think you probably get order, you probably measure.
And describe.
That's true.
You're gonna better explain what you found.
Unless you're doing a consumption, but we won't.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry.
There's always the gifted student in the bunch.
No, that's.
Do we need something in third grade here? You're in third
I
grade
think
teacher,
it's,
I'm not here.
I think it's covered, completely, because I think they just took,
They
it
just-
from the grade, pushed them all, I don't think they removed anything, I think they just pushed the whole column over.
Okay.
So I think it's all still there.
Do you think it's,
Over, what was the success rate or, well, I mean, how?
Do you
is
think
the
it's
success rate
appropriate?
of
do you think it's appropriate?
I think it's okay, yeah, I really do.
They hit it again at fourth.
The problem is we don't test science.
That's where I was coming from.
So
We don't know.
until, unless we can broach that, you know. That's what-
We test at fifth, force emotions at second and at fourth. And so by the time they get to fifth, they will have had those concepts twice.
second grade is really good. And I don't know if everybody else, I know that I couldn't do it, so we still.
You can still get it.
After I finished all the other GLEs.
We know it was your
I just said that. So,
So we've added describe or measure and describe to fourth grade, 1A.
Yes.
Okay.
to be.
just,
One, capital A, fourth grade, little letter,
There you go.
yes.
and then going across to, this particular one for second grade, it goes back to first grade, it's a comparative position of an object relative to another object. I know you're gonna go, that's the most ridiculous thing in the world. It is not. The only I would like to add to that would be front and back.
That's
No,
it.
that's an interesting
That's
concept,
a
because when we
very-
shrink kindergarten,
But they say front and back.
that's assessed on the dial.
But I cannot tell you, in third grade, they put it in front. and they just look at you and you're like, it's not, but it's one thing that just, it's a brain method thing or something. And some of them just do not get the words in front. So,
Now, that's in kindergarten, Terry, do you still want to add it to the first?
It's sorry.
Okay.
I just, I don't know that word. Then B, it says describe an object's motion as straight, circular, or vibrating. They goes on the back and forth. Zigzag, stopping, start, or falling. That's pretty straightforward. Describe it.
For first reading this.
And then if you go back to compare the speeds, it's faster, slower, two moving objects.
Would we want to add contrast there as we did
That's it
earlier?
at the top. Compare.
Was that a thumbs up?
Was that a thumbs up on contrast?
I'm not sure, I just,
So, I heard,
I observed a lot of head shaking, but I don't know it was official.
Somewhere I heard that, I don't know what it was. Was it with Desi that said that, or the grade level? Whenever it said compare, it was understood that you were doing similarities and differences.
And differences, yeah.
But, no, I mean, I know that's not true, but that was what I, like,
Interesting.
you were supposed to assume.
But we can't assume.
Right,
Exactly.
so I have no problem with adding compare and contrast, because I agree with you,
We need
there's
to be
always
able to
that
express-
other path. And maybe we shouldn't assume that everybody compares to us, so they can compare.
It seems to be the natural thing to
Yeah.
do, but we know that natural does not always occur.
so in first grade, we have to compare with A and C.
Well, on A, it's the position of an object relative to another, so I don't really need to contrast
Where are
that.
we talking about that? The C.
On
C.
C.
You know, about it's faster, slower. What's that different? That's contrast.
So is compare the right word?
That's on A, is that what you're
Yeah,
referring to?
compare
I'm
the
questioning
position
myself.
of an object relative to another, how about describe?
I think it's describe.
I was wondering if it's describe or is it define the position and relationship too?
I think describe.
Describe, I think.
You wanted to go up to B and.
We're at A.
A.
Describe the position of an object relative to another object.
That makes sense. Yes.
Okay. Now,
Which is the
C.
same term they use in kindergarten, did you notice that?
I did.
And then on C, are we saying that's a contrast or a comparative?
Compare and contrast.
Okay, just want to make sure that I do this.
Sure.
Everybody's good with describe?
B you left alone,
You left on,
and C is to compare or add contrast.
then we go back over to A, kindergarten, to describe an object's position relative to another object.
It's great.
Perfect. Go down to B, it says an object that is accelerating, is speeding up, slowing down, or changing directions. For seventh grade, it talks about describe Earth's gravity of force, it pulls on it, on or near the Earth force. The Earth without touching the object.
Yeah, I
I don't know how that fits that,
don't know how that was gonna
Pulls
work.
a force.
with speeding up, slowing down, changing direction. I don't know that.
Well, gravity affects
Yeah,
speeding up,
gravity,
slowing
gravity
down, or
affects
acceleration.
acceleration.
So you've gotta know about gravity before you know.
Yeah, because we talked about gravity before this.
No, this is
week.
like our intro to gravity.
And tides, and where does all this,
Huh?
does it tie in with the weather and the tides that we?
It's tied with forces in motion, so it's treated, they're talking about gravity as a force.
Yes.
I don't think they're intending gravity that way.
No, 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 no.
Yeah, okay.
It's not gonna be the
So are you good with that or not?
Beverly, I think most of the force of motion strand is a precursor to 6-8. I mean, it really is. There's not a whole lot of mastery because of force of motion, it becomes more abstract.
Yes.
So I think there's a lot of pre-work done in elementary for force of motion, not a lot of complete mastery.
And I get that, I'm just making sure that it's adequately introduced so that when they are supposed to understand it.
Just knowing that gravity is a pull and not a push is fabulous.
Yes.
I think, you know, and then we talk about normal force, and that's opposite gravity, and that would be the push. So, I mean, there's just a lot of things that.
And that's where you
communicate
get
that
balance
we
and
should
imbalance.
forces, but this also maybe in the fifth grade. So put something of this nature also in the fifth grade, so that's touched again before middle school and high school.
Because that's what I'm getting at, they don't hear it from second grade until 6th, 7th.
Well, okay, I'm going to mention it in their force of motion unit,
Mention like
gravity.
It
talk about-
depends on the school district, because our school district teaches this stuff in the fifth.
Right.
You know, so it's hard to say, because these are just
Oh, here we go.
guidelines, because we don't
It's
have.
in fourth grade, it says, forces of motion, strand 2B.
Determine
Determine the gravitational pull of, okay, so it's already getting at it, all right. Just wanna make sure it was there somewhere.
Yes, I want to,
I'm totally doing it. Backwards.
Thank you.
I am totally doing it. It's gonna look like this chart thing.
Okay.
because I was gonna do it on my iPad, I was gonna like
Yeah, it's
screenshot.
gotta be put up in these little things.
That would be very helpful.
I think it would be.
Thank you.
Scissors and paper and chart paper and.
And has it
I
covered?
think I'm gonna cut it apart and do it.
I'm
It's driving me honking crazy.
I know what I'm gonna get hard.
Oh, yeah, I was gonna screenshot it and do it that way.
Yeah, it's just driving me crazy to not have it all together, which is what's
Are we
driving
good
me
with that?
crazy.
Yes, sir.
I think we're ready.
Are you good with the rate for what?
Very
Okay.
We should be on strand 2, property of practical force of motion. It's all one, it's A. The forces are classified as either contact, push, pull, friction, buoyancy, or a non-contact force, which is gravity, magnetism. That can be described in terms of direction and magnitude. fifth grade, scope and sequence is work with subdivisions. So identify the force acting on a load and use a spring scale to measure. This is force for the load. Get the force acting on the load. I think it agrees to identify the word.
First, you're using a spring scale to measure.
Right. Identify force effects. What's that?
It's just weird to me. The first thing pops in my head is a lever, a fulcrum. When you talk about simple machines and load forces, but this is only talking about weight measurement.
Do we want to add?
No, because it's probably later on.
It is subject.
That's what I mean.
That's what I mean too. It's just, my mind's.
Here it is, it's over here. Work transfers energy out of a mechanical system.
So we get with that?
You got, I think you're looking at. What's it, ratio? Yeah, ratio. Force to load. I think it's all there. Like, so the only I would like to add, we possibly measure and identify the forces.
It says to measure halfway through.
What's that? Scale to measure.
It says to measure halfway through. I wouldn't know why. Okay, are we good with this one? Thumbs up? Yay, nay?
Good.
Okay, that's okay.
We jump to fourth grade, A, identify the forces acting on the motion of objects traveling in a straight line. So specify the forces should be acting in the same line as the motion.
You want to say investigate and identify?
Yes.
Pretty simple.
Because I can see where you can play around with it a little bit.
Is that a thumbs up on adding investigate?
Yes.
Just
Okay,
You
got
all's thumbs are not working.
This.
They're gonna show you a different finger.
Try that again.
Okay, B, to describe and compare forces.
Can we just,
It says applied to an object in a straight line is measured using a spring scale and units. Describe and compare the forces.
can we just say compare and contrast?
That's what
Get rid of
describe
describe.
forces.
You get rid of describe, you get rid of the evidence.
Right.
That's
Describe
true.
tells you to do that.
So
Right.
tell me how that compare and contrast have evidence.
You do that.
When you describe, you use it.
I think we're ready.
I'm putting this as accurate.
So do it just like that. Okay.
Are you leaving it alone?
Yep.
Or leaving all thumbs up on that?
C, it says observe and identify friction as a force that slows down or stops a moving object that is touching another object or surface. It says it doesn't.
Yeah, I think
I think there's.
there's nothing to compare.
You know, it could be pumped up a little bit as far as rigor. forces.
You're all doing it, okay?
They're not allowed. D is compare the forces, required to overcome friction when an object moves over different surfaces.
I think for this portion that you need to do some kind of investigation. This is usually where,
Smooth tape.
Sandpaper.
Right.
Or sandpaper.
So we do investigate and describe.
well, this would be similar to that one that we did where we said, I don't know why I started to cut, or we have design construct diagram for one. This could be one of those STEM type activities where the kiddos design their own experiment, conduct their own experiment, and then describe their own experiment. You know what I mean?
Your investigation, you mean?
Yes.
I like the,
I don't know where I am.
I like that idea. But they have to come up.
They have to come up with their own design of their, you know, project here,
So
We
that
just add those three
demonstrates.
words, we add
right?
design, investigate, and compare the forces. We just add those two words to what's already there and change the complexity of it.
Are we on C?
D.
D. Okay.
Can't take it back.
Well, you can, apparently. That is not in the norm.
Can I give some wording on D?
Yes.
Design, construct, and describe, design, construct, describe an investigation, comparing the forces measured by
Very
the
good.
scale.
Very good.
Now, guys, that may be, that's a fourth grade, that's pretty heavy duty.
Well,
I know it's good.
they start in strand 7 with the experimental design. And we're not dealing with strand 7 yet, but fourth graders do begin to set up that experimental design.
I think it's good because the teachers already, above that, you've already had experience with friction before.
You've got the experience, you have that background knowledge, now prove to me you know what to do with it, you know? And then you have your, they're not going to be able to say, I don't know how to assess this, because you could give a performance event that would do this.
Yes.
Okay, you got the word, so she can.
I'll read it again, just to make sure that I have it my own. In addition to, you got design, construct, and describe an investigation comparing the forces measured by a spring scale in newtons required to overcome friction when an object moves over different surfaces, i.e. rough and smooth.
What's the C word?
Design, construct, and describe.
See, I don't know.
I'm liking construct.
Simplifying it, just
No.
construct an investigation, blah, 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 blah. Construct an investigation comparing the forces where the overcome friction.
If you tell a teacher to construct it, it's not the kid's experiment, the kid's not designing their actual experiment themselves.
So the
It's
second word
forcing
is
the student to be the thinker rather than the teacher to be the thinker. Rather than me saying, you need to make this, this.
Then you're gonna have to include investigation.
Yeah, they have to do the investigation. Instead of constructing.
Because design and constructing are the same thing. Design,
Design,
construct.
conduct,
Design, construct, are not the same thing at all.
No,
If
design
you
is
design
doing
it, and then you construct it, that's you build it.
I know, but I want them to conduct the experiment.
So you're changing,
You're gonna.
you're gonna design,
That's when it goes on.
conduct.
I think if you design it and you construct it, then you're assuming that you're gonna go ahead and conduct the experiment.
I think assuming maybe,
But I don't think this is a case where it's a big
What are they
stretch.
constructing?
The actual model, whatever you're doing as your,
What are they constructing?
in this particular one, I'm gonna say they're probably gonna construct, if they're gonna do it with a ramp, they're gonna do it with.
But to me, that's conducting an experiment, that's part of the procedure.
by the constructing, you're gonna conduct your experiment from what you construct, right?
See, to me, in order to conduct it, I have to construct it, so I don't need instruct, because conduct means I'm gonna do that. But that's just a different perception.
I say,
I think either way,
Yeah, we're good.
Okay, what's the end result?
Do you
Design
want the verbiage
construct,
from
release.
strand 7?
Yes.
Does anybody want the verbiage from strand 7? Because
Yes.
that's basically what you're doing. Post questions about, plan and conduct a fair test to answer a question.
Conduct.
Make qualitative observations using the 5 senses. Make observations using simple tools. Measure, compare, judge whether measurements are fair. Evaluate reasonableness of conclusions. I would just be careful because you're in course of motion, which lends itself to experimental design. You could probably write conduct an investigation on every word. So I would just be
No,
aware,
we've
because
been
that's already
careful because we've gone to the end of we've gone to the last one to do the investigation with. Like, in this whole column of standards, we're at the last one.
Well, can I make just I don't know what the data has shown in the last few years, but when I investigated data and I looked at our test results, 9 times out of 10, experimental design, scientific strand 7, shot us in the foot. It was weak. Now, I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm not sure everyone goes and knows about strand 7 and 8. That I'm not sure that they do. So putting that in there brings that to light a little bit more.
I think so too, and I think what happens is that strand is an afterthought. They are so consumed with teaching the content portion of it, they never get to that. Does that make sense?
But yeah, that's where
At my
35 to
level,
40% of the questions are.
Yes.
If we're talking about the assessment.
Mm-hmm.
So the more times kids have opportunity to do that,
so maybe in the end, we'll end up with less strands.
Well, it basically shows that the research shows that's where the greatest majority of experimental design should be is elementary, a little bit less in middle school, and then a lot less in high school, because they're getting ready to go back to lecture-based, book reading type education. So that's really sad that they don't do more
And I've
constructive
always
play and experimentation.
said from the elementary level, if we would spend more time doing the experimental designs, we would turn more kids onto science.
I'm to asking questions.
So are we conducting or constructing?
I'm voting conduct, but I can be overruled.
So are we good with it?
You brought it,
I think both of them are gonna accomplish the same exact task.
Of course,
I
these
just
two,
think when you say constructive, it requires them to actually build something. In conduct, they can do it through.
Do we need both? Because when I interpret that, I can see us constructing an experiment, but never actually conducting it. I know that's hard to believe, Mary, you would never dream of doing that, but I have witnessed such.
follow through, like, how they construct it, how we do it.
This is.
And I know that gets wordy, but
What, an experiment, an investigation?
An investigation. It could be an experiment or an investigation, which is pretty simple.
Because what's gonna be a paper, an actual, part of an act, like over a rock, so.
Is what we read as accurate, design, construct, conduct, and describe an investigation.
Are you planning on changing the verbiage of strand 7? Because if not, I would go with plan and conduct a fair test. I mean, I would use that same terminology because that's what teachers are going to see in strand 7. And if that's what you're wanting them to do is strand 7 within the content of course of motion, I'd probably be using these words.
which is conduct, correct?
Planning.
Plan and conduct a fair
Which
test.
takes care
plan
of
is
design.
design and construct.
And then you say not an investigation, but a fair test.
Yep.
So
love for you guys to introduce as fair and best before they get to us.
Plan,
So this should say plan and conduct a fair test.
I like that short metaphor.
Yes, I think that's a softer issue.
Is this a good stopping point to see what you learned in elect nominees?
Okay, the liaisons, do not have to do 2 separate reports, and they don't have to both show up. They, part of their job would be, report to the president pro tem of the Senate, technology, and the Speaker of the House of Representatives. And you would be reporting an update, where we are, what you got done. And it would be towards the end. Okay, so it would be, hopefully, you can get with the other liaisons and give those folks on the report. Okay? And that doesn't have to be in person. Okay, so you could give the report at the end, and I think, you're gonna have notes pretty well the information to do that from. Then there are these public meetings. The first one has to be within 30 days of yesterday. Okay? The date is not set or the location, and so yeah. And then there will be 2 more. There will be another one 6 months after that first hearing. And then there will be the third one will be when the work group submits your academic standards or whatever you're going to call them to the state school board, and it will be before October of 2015. So they would hope you could attend those 3 because you're actually saying to the public, this is where we are with this, and we're trying to let the public know in case they would like to react and play along that way. But it does, let's say 2 of you were chosen and neither of the 2 could go. And in your guys' mind, perhaps anybody, you could find a substitute if it came down to you couldn't go, but it doesn't spell that out. It says you guys, participants, select the 2 liaisons. That is, that is what we do at the third one. It's when the work group is finished, they submit the academic standards to the state school board, and that has to be before that October 2015. We have a volunteer.
It's only 3 meetings there. We'd like to spread out the course of
3
the year.
meetings and then this report is what it was just explained to me, and it's at the back of the law.
So there's no, legislative meetings?
Well, that is where you send it to the President of the Senate, and the Speaker of the House of Representatives. It is a report. I'm sure you could go in person, but it can be done email.
So that could be like a written narrative of where we're at.
Yes, and that's the one that would hope, maybe for these folks, it would probably be better if you sent them all at one time. You know, that's what they're doing. But you don't have to, you can send, we're gonna all of the liaisons to the Senate. That doesn't have to be in person necessarily, the law does not say that.
And that's monthly.
The report is not.
I'm getting confused between the monthly reports and the State Board of Education and legislative meetings.
There's monthly reports to the legislators, please correct me if I'm wrong.
And that can be via email.
Right.
That's what we're talking about now.
The meetings that we may have to travel to would be public meetings
where we are held accountable to the public.
And there is no state board of education legislative meetings that we need to deal with,
Just the one where we report the final product.
which is one of the three that we have to travel to.
Yeah, it's the last.
Well-
It is the last.
No, it's not a public hearing,
No.
you have to see.
So it's in addition to the three public hearings.
Yes.
Okay, that's what I was confused on.
That's not what she told me, but I made it.
You can
Okay.
But can it be
There was either three or there would be a fourth.
My understanding is there would be a final public meeting before going to that state board.
So that makes sense.
Right, there'd be a public hearing. It sounds to me like the submission is written to the state school board, that the report's written,
We have to submit rather than see.
right, and that you may not have to do that in person, because it doesn't specify that.
So would somebody, to just kind of restate that again? Public meetings for people,
So you have to give a written monthly report to the Senate Pro Tem and Speaker of the House. You must attend 3 public hearings. And you need to submit a report of the final academic standards to the state school board.
Since the intent was to have a compilation of several different facets of the public on this committee, I would just recommend that we would send an educator and maybe a parent. Because I think we've all received, regardless of where you go.
Right, so you just suggest having one liaison as an educator, maybe the liaison as an educator, and then co-liaison as a parent.
Or either way, or both together all the time. That would be a beautiful thing. Just that you're united work together. Because having been in several of these around the state, different events, town hall meetings, et cetera, it just would be well received. This is the intent of the legislature. It's supposed to be represented by more than just education. I would for other people to be this.
Excellent.
Good.
And you're not that far.
Now,
I'd be happy to do it, I just think we gotta make sure that we all really push forward and do this. We've got to get this stuff done, so that we're able to present,
That we did something.
that we've done something.
But you
I
guys,
hope that, and I hope it sounds like it's, let's say we have to comment, but obviously we have. I hope everybody's gonna take this home and do some of the stuff we've been doing on our own.
I think we can move a lot faster.
We can shoot through this much, much
you
quicker.
guys had to create the process this time.
I would,
And let me tell you, I told them over there, they should come study us as a group. You guys have done tons, and because there was some of the other groups.
To help with that, would it be possible for somehow to put a listserv together or a group together email-wise? And we can shoot ideas to each other in the interim, and we come up with these and we look through it. Okay, I'm thinking this on 2A, 1B, kindergarten meeting.
And they get feedback.
Yeah, I think as long as we then present it, because we have to keep things open. And our next,
the only thing I worry about that is, we have a lot of discussion. If you start out on email, I have lunch, you ever, I'm not saying email doesn't work, but
May not be productive.
I think we would probably just choke on the very next page.
You might have a vote to ask if it was.
ask each other
I
questions.
think
Now,
that's.
ask the questions.
Sure. And then when we reconvene,
Are you understanding this the same way I am? I didn't so much the wrong answer.
What about a blog that would be for each section?
You want to sell it to that?
I think,
I just-
I almost think we do our homework and we go home
We do.
and we read over these individually and we mark on them the changes that we think should be made, so that we don't have to take time to read the page before we can talk.
Yes.
We can just say, I saw this, boom, everything's
because
good.
a lot of times we agree.
Right,
It takes us all to get
or
together.
you work around it, or
right. So I think if we all individually do our homework and look at the things that we want revised, we'll be way far
And
ahead.
you also have each other's email.
Yeah,
Yes.
I mean, not that I don't wanna communicate with y'all, but I think you're right, Mary, I think we'll end up
We
getting
may open-
bogged down more than we'll.
Open a can of worms.
If you do email us online, perhaps you should copy everyone else.
Sure.
Oh, yeah, I think that would be.
Yeah.
Transparency, that's a great idea.
I think so.
I have a specific question on individual.
I think it'll move quickly next time, which is not a week from
Thursday.
The next meeting date?
So the second and the third and the 20th and the 21st.
So we're gonna, I thought it was the 22nd, 23rd. That may be a mistake on my part. I believe it's the 21st or 22nd. Okay, that's probably my fault.
It's the 20th and 21st.
20th
I
and
think some
21st.
of you have it.
Thank you.
It's a Monday, Tuesday.
Yes.
It's a Monday, Tuesday. The last.
Right,
The
the
last
last one is,
I got on my calendar schools, I don't know. For some reason, I have one second, but it's as well.
That was
I
always
have
a
the
guess.
20th and
But
21st,
I also
and
know that I have received.
I have
we were-
the second and the third. Is that right?
yeah, and then that's the,
As of right now, they have this group in here as room for them. But I'm not sure it will stay like that, honestly, you could so there were much larger groups than ours that needed this room. Some of the largers were planned, so we're trying to.
So that they're going to move this, possibly.
Right now, it's on the web or on their books, it's going, we are going to very else for the room for.
Where is it?
It's across from the Capitol.
Oh,
But I don't know that that's Capitol.
and then on next week when we meet, are we meeting at 9 on the Thursday? And then 8 on the Friday, like we did today, or like we did this week?
That is
I'd
what,
rather, I don't know, I'd rather meet at 8 o'clock, just because next week, the other ones we, I can sit on, but next week I'm gonna have, I will be here on a Friday. Because I have a fundraiser for the Boy Scouts that started last year in October. But on Thursday, I've got everyone waiting on me, one for the, not sure to set up for the fundraiser. So as soon as we got here, get that, unless it's something we look at it probably at 8 o'clock. Set the traffic that we have. I'll try to work the trail.
I think this was just the days that we were assigned.
Are we talking about this?
That's what I mean, other than he said he already put those days in his,
Alright.
the teachers have already scheduled.
Some of them are either, but to be keep it.
and that's when we have a free room.
Uh-huh.
That's what makes that just for us, like you said.
Which I was speaking with someone, even a legislator at Stafford, she said, getting rooms is not a problem. Give the ones you have, they, because we're not in session, they have rooms over there and not so.
The second and third, I just need clarification on dates. I missed that somewhere. Second and third. And then what are the ones after that?
October 20th and 21st.
Thank you, that's where I was incorrect.
Okay, so the 20th and the 23rd, wait,
That's a
it's
Sunday.
Saturday.
That's a Monday, the 23rd is what I have on the
Monday.
October 20th and 21st, that's not right?
No,
That's Monday.
Oh, oh, okay.
That's a Sunday.
I was gonna say, I think that's right. That's what I asked on.
Okay, the question on the floor though is 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock on the second.
What's that?
On
8
Thursday,
o'clock or 9 o'clock.
I have,
It's actually 9 o'clock for, and the section day is scheduled 8 to 3. And the only thing is, we have to publish it on time.
I like getting out at 3 on the Friday to go home. The Thursday doesn't make a difference to me because I come up the night before, so.
See, I don't, I drive in that day.
I
So,
will, if you decide on it, that's fine, but I will.
yeah, I'm probably gonna be late this week.
I think 9 o'clock is more appropriate.
That's right.
So 9 to 4 on Thursday?
Yeah, we're, I'm fine with that.
So it's 9 to 4 and then 8 to 3.
Oh, I'm sorry, Gary, you were not gonna be here.
I'm not gonna be Friday.
Oh, I apologize, that was a misunderstanding on my part. Can we just say right now, you're not gonna be here Friday?
I have to. I have to get it set up. I mean, I'm looking for 275 RTUs.
That's what I'm saying, if it suits you all, nothing says we have to meet next Thursday and Friday.
I think that's a really good idea for me though, because if we have a standard calendar, we start trying to change around for every single person here in LA. So we have to find a room, and we'll have to find if you're adjusted to the calendar.
I completely agree with that. I like the idea of third week of the month, or third week of the, some things where
Whatever is
it's
set.
There's already said.
okay, we still, so that CA is on.
I know, I'm volunteering.
Yeah, I thought he said he would do it.
Okay, I put his name in. What he said he would do.
When he hesitated, it was a dime deal.
And it's Alex and Mary, is that correct? Okay.
So next Thursday,